human beings have a really amazing, untapped resource that is our power, our potential, our energy. And when we are alone, we have this much. When we're together, we have, it's infinite. Even two people makes the energy tenfold. One person is one energy, two people is 10. Three people is 100. It's like that. Now, the problem with this is that each person has their own individual ego that wants stuff and is not able to let that go for this greater good, because there's always going to be someone else who are worried is going to corrupt that for their own gain. So we don't want to devote our energy towards a system that's actually going to harm us. And it's so weird how right now we're living in the system that is harming us. And yet we know, if you've ever had a moment where you're away from the rat race, because the grind, the rat race that we've been glorifying lately as the rise and grind, getting the grind, it's not actually very noble. It's actually pitiful that we are not forced, but that we are in this state, that we have such narrow vision and short-sightedness that all we can do is, Americans like to glorify this as the American dream, the hustle, right? So that only some of us can get that and others don't. So whoever hustles, oh, great, you've been working 70 hours a week and you're doing Uber on the side, you're amazing, right? You are. But what about the rest of people who you're competing with, who you crush like a bug? Are they also amazing? Not everyone gets to be that kind of amazing. So for me, this capitalist system is incompatible with humanity. It is anti-human. It is not celebrating the gifts of humanity, but it is actually suppressing, because the gift of humanity is the holistic organism of humankind. It is not the individual rising to the top by destroying everyone in its path. There's nothing glorious about that anymore. So we are in a weird spot right now because we're still living under these systems, rules, and guidelines that encourage us or only reward us if we grind in that way. But that grind is becoming more and more impossible due to the stratification of wealth and the immense amount of wealth that is hoarded by several hundred or thousand people, individual people at the top. The billionaires, the tech tycoons, people at the very top of government and military organizations, so on and so forth. Okay, so what I would like to see is for humankind to begin to imagine and realize our potential. It's so beautiful. And I'm not talking about a utopia where people just sit around and do nothing. That's not what I mean. And I'm not talking about racing to fight each other to invent the latest medicine or the latest chemical or the latest drug to prevent death. That's not what I mean. Those impulses, while noble, are still all within this capitalistic system that does not actually allow for true cooperation to happen. Because when you have true cooperation and when resources are completely freely shared and evenly distributed and equally distributed, and the way that that happens, by the way, is you as an individual cease your selfish activities. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Why do all the charities, all of the organizations that are meant to distribute wealth and bring healthcare and do all these good deeds throughout the world, they do accomplish something, but they all have to work within this fundamental paradigm of capitalism. And the bottom line is what matters. That is the issue. And capitalists, they think they know the truth, and they don't. They don't actually understand what's really going on. And I'm not saying that I do. If you ask yourself, though, if you really question it, there is a truth that is very different than the system that we're living in right now. It's very different. You know it, you feel it, you can experience it yourself. I'm not going to try and explain my interpretation of it because you know what that is. I would wager, I'd be willing to stake a lot on this, that for most people, the capitalistic American dream is not the deep truth that they yearn for. I don't think that that's what it is. Hard to stand up against that, though, because it's extremely oppressive. It's everywhere and everything right now. It's hard to even speak out against it because I'm not trying to speak against it. That's impossible. I'm just trying to shed light on the fact that 99.999% of our potential is not even realized yet. You think that we see human beings live and work and suffer and toil and struggle and die, and we think that's it. That must be it. It's hard. That's the illusion. The illusion of this human. It's like, and yeah, well, we do die. However, what can be experienced in that lifetime is really quite tremendous. Not tremendous in the way that that a capitalist would think. Big, great, amazing, awesome. Not that kind of tremendous. I'm talking about one awe-inspiring, beauty, wonder, amazement, and like advanced knowing and understanding and technology and things beyond anything you could even comprehend.